We had a lot change in week 7 of the NFL season for fantasy football purposes. We're going to go game by game, and I'm going to break down what we need to know. We're going to have rankings this week, most likely, but Thursday Night Football of week number 7 was insane. We had the unk off. Both of these teams, both of these quarterbacks looked insane, man. Aaron Rodgers, 4 tutties. Joe Flacco, 3 tutties. Unfortunately, you don't trust either of these guys moving forward. Honestly, though, Flacco could be decent if he keeps, Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins. They're both going to have very important and significant fantasy football roles moving forward. You can see T. Higgins, tutty. Ja'Marr Chase, tutty. And both of them were basically over 100 receiving yards. I think Ja'Marr Chase is going to make fantasy owners happy moving forward. In terms of Chase Brown, over 100 yards, only 11 carries. But he also had 4 targets and 2 receptions. I think Chase Brown has better days ahead as well if this Bengals offense goes back to being all right. The Steelers, they're in the market trying to trade for a speedster wide receiver is the rumors. So what does that mean for Calvin Austin? It means he's probably irrelevant. Pat Freiermuth had an insane game, 30-point bomb. You can't trust him moving forward. Metcalf, 3 for 50. It's not going to get the job done. Not many targets. You'd be surprised that really the only fantasy pro for this 31-point Steelers game, really the only big boys were Freiermuth, who you're never putting in your lineup with trust, and Jaylen Warren. And Jaylen Warren he just remains an every week must start, even with Gainwell's breakout game. Let's go look at the Eagles and Vikings. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. They both do amazing. Both Eagles receivers were very, very good. Saquon Barkley disappoints. It seems like that's what's going to happen. You won't know what's going to happen. Is Hurts and Saquon, are they going to have insane fantasy games, or is it going to be the receivers? Dallas Goedert, we thought we could trust him because every time he's been playing, he's been getting touchdowns. No touchdown this week. Okay, he had 4 points. So this Eagles team remains, I don't want to say boom bust, but they remain not trustworthy. Even A.J. Brown, I guess, he only had 6 targets. Do you trust him? I don't love any of the Eagles players. I love Devontae Smith's stat line. But, next week he could have 2 targets. I wouldn't be surprised at all. The Minnesota Vikings, Carson Wentz, no touchdowns, but he did have over 300 yards. They play a short week in week 8. They play on Thursday Night Football against the Chargers in LA. Keep in mind, J.J. McCarthy could be back. Now, Jefferson, 5 for 80. But keep in mind, he had 5 targets he didn't bring in. 4 of those, it seemed like, were 40-yard passes downfield. They weren't really catchable, but Jefferson's stat line could have been very, 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 very insane if he was, connecting with Wentz on some of those downfield. So don't be too disappointed right here by Jefferson's kind of mediocre day. Hawkinson, honestly, that's not bad for a tight end, especially with the 9 targets. You have Jordan Mason, 15 for 60 with a tutty. In the receiving game, though, Jordan Mason wasn't really involved, but still Xavier Scott kind of getting the receiving role. And then you have Addison. I'm trusting Addison in my lineup right here against the Chargers on a short week. We got the Rams and Jaguars. No Puka Nacua. The only thing that you have to take away from this game is that Kyren Williams had a midday. You still trust him moving forward. Really, it's Devontae Adams. It's the Devontae Adams show, and if Puka's out, which the Rams are actually on a bye week in week 8, but coming off of the bye week, Puka should be there, but Devontae still, the red zone connection is real. The Jaguars, everybody kind of did bad except for Travis Hunter. You might have a BTJ injury, so keep that in mind. And then Travis Hunter, I think you would trust him in your lineup. And I think Parker Washington is borderline flex play as well, if that is the case. Saints and Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams, no passing touchdowns. What did he do on the ground? Oh, absolutely nothing. Caleb Williams has to drop a little bit in my quarterback rankings. But the Bears also did control this game. They were up 20-7 at half. So maybe that accounts for some of the lack of effort from Caleb. I don't really know. Spencer Rattler, 2 tutties, but he was kind of playing sloppy football. You have Kendre Miller leave the game with a knee injury. This could improve Alvin Kamara's stock moving forward. Olave has a big day. Jawan Johnson, he seems boom or bust. Shaheed has consistently been giving you 8 points every single week. Do you want 8 points in your flex spot? I guess. Burden disappointed. All of the Bears players disappointed. And this Bears offense, they're they're a couple weeks away from me comparing them to the Eagles with not being able to trust these guys every week. Dolphins and Browns. Every Dolphins player did terrible. Devon Achane, I guess he did all right. He had 12 points, 11 points. Tua's going to be benched sooner rather than later. I know he was benched in that game, but they're going to make a move. They have a lot to do. Tell me how Jalen Waddle has 4 targets and 1 catch. Insane. Malik Washington had 8 targets. That's something to watch. I saw him get banged up in the game. But Washington and Waddle, I'm still starting Waddle most likely. It's a scary flex play. And then Washington, he's close to being a flex play for me. I think the Dolphins are going to be trailing a lot of the time. But this team is just so bad, I don't want to start anybody. Judkins is the real deal. In a game where the Browns didn't have to play and Njoku was out, Fannin led the team in targets, brought in 4 of 5 for 36. I'm starting Fannin, almost every week, even if Njoku's back. I think Fannin is a top 10 tight end. Judkins, he's the real deal. This guy is elite. He's the bright spot for Cleveland. I almost said Pats and Titans. Cam Ward, not great. Everybody didn't really do good, in my opinion, here for receiving. You have Power bringing 6 for 43. Okay, that's an improvement for his receiving role. There wasn't really any rushing presence because of how bad they were losing. Iomonner is a big disappointment here. You have no Calvin Ridley, and you have Iomonner, who's been the leading receiver here. Only 5 targets, only brings in 2 for 29. Tough game for him, man. You can't trust him in the flex spot, it seems like. For the Patriots, what I want to say is that you can start Ramondre. I have no idea what to do with Booty. Booty's just not getting enough volume. Diggs had a solid game, but honestly, Diggs was... I don't really trust Diggs as much either. He's like Jalen Waddle, kind of like borderline. The main takeaway here, and it's not really a takeaway, it's an anger. Why is TreVeyon Henderson getting 2 opportunities? They had, I think his name was Terrell Williams, so the Patriots, when they were competing in this game, when it was still close, Ramondre got everything. When it was a blowout, Terrell Williams got everything. So is TreVeyon just not going to get any opportunities ever? I don't know what he did to Mike Vrabel, but it was bad. Mahomes is insane. The Chiefs are insane. Every Chiefs player improved their stock. Even Pacheco with the touchdown here. You have Kelsey, 3 for 54. It's not terrible. Better days ahead, probably. Rashee Rice in his first game back, it's 10 targets, 2 tutties. His stock, this guy's probably in an S tier for my receiving rankings moving into this week. Rashard Smith had an interesting receiving role, and he had 14 carries, compared to Pacheco. Keep in mind that was probably game script, but he probably is still worth a waiver wire add. And Xavier Worthy had a down game. Better days ahead. There's a lot of mouths to feed, though, now in the Chiefs offense, where there's so many receivers, and if they keep spreading things out, might not be great. Again, the Raiders, the game script was very unfavorable. So Genti had 6 rushes. He had no targets, which is kind of interesting. They just couldn't get a first down. So you get 10 for 16. I don't know how the Raiders did that bad, man, but the Chiefs defense seems solid as well as their offense. Panthers and Jets, Fields gets benched. You can't put Fields in your lineup. Fields is honestly probably droppable. Breece Hall gets contained. Mason Taylor, not good. Tyler Johnson, who is that? I think Isaiah Davis might be worth an ad. You have the Braylon Allen injury. You have the Breece Hall trade rumors. I think Isaiah Davis might be worth, rostering. For the Panthers, you have Chuba and Dowdle. Dowdle outsnaps him. Dowdle outrushes him. Dowdle was kind of the lead back, and he played better than Chuba Hubbard in almost every aspect of the game. Xavier Legette, 92 yards and a tutty. T-Mac, 3 for 33. Down game for him. Are we going to have Andy Dalton for Carolina in Week 8? We'll have to keep an eye on that. Giants and Broncos. The Broncos players, all of their players were trash until the fourth quarter when they put up 1,000,000 points. Bo Nix salvaged his day on the ground. He had a rushing touchdown, 50 yards. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. He also had 2 passing touchdowns, so he had a great fantasy day, but it all came super late, which kind of worries me. Look at that. 33 points all in the fourth quarter. You can't even believe it. It's honestly almost unbelievable. So I don't really look too much into this game right here, except for Franklin with the touchdown. I was kind of disappointed with Franklin, but he had 10 targets. 3 for 19 with 10 targets? It's kind of insane. I don't really know what to evaluate here for Denver, except for that Dobbins is still an every week running back start because he's getting the bulk of the opportunities. Jackson Dart, also the real deal. I'm starting Dart with confidence every single week. They take on the Philly Eagles in Philly in Week 8. Tough matchup, but Dart looked good against them in New York. Wan'Dale Robinson, I think, also deserves a flex spot every week, and Cam Scatterbo is also the real deal up there with Judkins. Colts versus Chargers. Colts are also very good. Danny Dimes is a top 10 quarterback every single week. JT is the running back 1 in fantasy football. Alec Pierce, he's good for best ball, but I wouldn't really roster him, to be completely honest, even with Josh Downs out. But Pierce did, lead the team in targets in week 7. Warren, he's good. Pittman brings in the touchdown. It's a good game for Pittman, considering in week 6 it was a down game. So his touchdown, 9 targets, and 13 points just from receiving metrics alone. Good game for him. Good bounce back. The Chargers offense is very good, but it kind of wasn't clicking early. Like 3 points in the first half, 21 in the second half. Thursday Night Football, home game. I think the Chargers team will rebound. Herbert got involved on the ground. Vidal and Haskins both sucked at rushing the football, but Vidal still was the starting running back. I think he's worth a flex play. The big Q, Keenan Allen, Ladd, honestly, they were all startable. But the big one is, I've been saying the best waiver wire ad 4 weeks has been Gatson. 9 targets, 164 yards, and a tutty. The first rookie tight end since Pitts to eclipse 150 in their rookie season, and Gatson is worth a roster spot. He might even be startable. He's probably a top 9, top 8 tight end for week number 8. Jaden Daniels injured. The entire Commanders team is impossible to evaluate. Nobody really did anything good. Debo and McLaurin were out. Bill Krosky Merritt. Sure, he's the starter, but he didn't look good, and his offense didn't look good either. The Cowboys, Javonte is a league winner. CeeDee Lamb, he's back, and he looked good. Pickens, he's back, and he was still involved. It's frustrating, though, because every game he's going to drop a touchdown, but it's PI. So, everyone's happy, except for the fantasy owners, because he dropped them. Ferguson is still an S-tier tight end, man. 7 targets, 7 catches, only 30 yards, but 2 tutties involved in the red zone. He was wearing Dak's t-shirt. You knew he was going to score at least once. So Ferguson's still an amazing tight end option. Packers at Cardinals. Jordan Love, 1 tutty. Now, Josh Jacobs, you saw his floor. He had 2 touchdowns. Kind of lucky with the game script. Banged up. Honestly, Emmanuel Wilson ate into his snaps. You could tell that Jacobs was not 100%. So for him to get 2 touchdowns, definitely salvaged his day. There's better days ahead. Hopefully he gets healthy. Tucker Kraft led the team in targets. This guy's boom bust, and he boomed today. Dobbs is worth a flex almost every single week. That's really all we got to talk about here for the Packers. Cardinals, Trey McBride is getting involved in the red zone. He wasn't last year. That was the one thing last year that held him back. He couldn't score touchdowns. He had 2 just today with Brissett. But after the bye week, the Cardinals were saying that Kyle Murray will be the starter. Bam Knight versus Michael Carter. Neither one of them super exciting, but Bam Knight is the clear rusher, whereas Carter is the clear receiving back, 3rd down and 2-minute drill. MHJ, 6 targets, only had 60 yards and 2 catches. Not great, but I'm still starting MHJ. I'm still starting McBride. And if you're low at running back, probably starting Bam Knight. That is the takeaways. But fortunately, we have 3 games left. I'll see you boys in the ranking videos.